Well, I can only tell you, I've tried to record this. This is now the sixth time. Don't know why it's not working. I don't know what to tell you. I need a tech. Where's Shawn McLaren when I need him? Woof. I'm so bad at this. I'll tell you what. Well, it is what it is. But I promised you I was going to record content, and I've tried to record content. And I've got a very old Mac computer and with very little memory, and it doesn't want to run this camera and the sound and all of that stuff I got going on. But what can I tell you? I'm trying really hard, but to no avail. Anyway, so this is a follow-on of some stuff I've talked about, religious Rottweilers, and this is explaining some of the scriptural background for it and the support of it. So I'm going to jump right in. Please, if you haven't yet, hit subscribe. Would it kill you? It's not going to kill you. It does nothing but help me, and it cannot hurt you. Click on the little bell, super easy. That way you get notifications when I go live. Like, for instance, if I should go live at some point directly, which I'm very much going to do, and then any podcast that I submit, you're going to, boom, it'll be right there. So plank eye judgers. Religious Rottweilers. I've talked about it a bunch, but now you're going to kind of get an idea of how some of that works and why Yeshua and why God and why the disciples and apostles have all cautioned against it. Now, I want to say at the outset three things. One, which, by the way, there's no guarantee it's going to be three things. It could be much less than three things. Number one, I'm using an ESV, English Standard Version translation. That's not making any particular statement. I am going to do a show on why I use the translations that I do and which ones I don't use under most circumstances. That's for another day. That said, this is what it's from, and this is from the book of Romans in the New Testament, chapter 14, verse 1. As for the one who is weak in faith, welcome him, but not to quarrel over opinions. One person believes he may eat anything, while a weak person eats only vegetables. Now, let me just say this. There was quarreling in the church. Right? They couldn't figure out, what are we supposed to eat? How are we supposed to do this? What are we supposed to do? We don't know what to do. It was just such a mess. It was such a mess. And they were having arguments. They just couldn't resolve and reconcile on some of these things. So this is why this happened. This is why this is the way that it is. So the author of Romans is writing to this church, this young baby church, with Gentiles and Jews, and the Jews that want to be the old way, and Jews that want to be the new way, what they perceive, and then the Gentiles, what they want. It's just a big hullabaloo, and they couldn't figure out. They just couldn't figure it out. They're really struggling to get it all figured out. Who knows? Anyway, so they were fussing with each other. So that's what this is about. One person believes he may eat anything. Again, dietary laws. While the weak person eats only vegetables. Let not the one who eats despise the one who abstains, and let not the one who abstains pass judgment on the one who eats. In other words, and it says, God has welcomed him. So I want you to understand that this is saying, look, the choices that you make, these, the laws and the commandments of God are the laws and commandments of God. We'll be unwavering on those things. However, the different interpretations and these other things, don't stress over those things. You make your choice and you go to God about those choices. But I'm not saying to not observe the laws and commandments of God. What I'm saying is those things that are, not spoken of or not clarified in Scripture as commandments, then those are things that are suggested to us by the rabbis, by preachers. Don't think, I use the term rabbi, but rabbi means teacher. So don't think that if you're in the Christian tradition that that this doesn't apply to you, because it absolutely does, because, preachers all the time and priests all the time make up stuff for you to do, and it's just silly. It's just super, super silly. So Anyway, so it says, for God is welcome then. Who are you to pass judgment on the servant of another? It is before his own master that he stands or falls, and he will be upheld, for the Lord is able to make him stand. One person esteems one day as better than another, while another esteems all days alike. Each one should be fully convinced in his own mind. The one who observes the day observes it in the honor of the Lord. This is talking about Shabbat or Sabbath. This is, the day that we set aside, the day of rest, the day that we set aside to worship and separate from our technology and separate from the craziness of the world. There's a reason God said we're to Sabbath. He didn't need rest, but on the seventh day he rests. So, which it clearly states in Genesis. So I don't want you to think that this is dealing with specific things like, well, what day do we Sabbath? What day do we Shabbat? What day do we observe the holy day and to keep it as holy? And so that said, they were having these problems. So that's what this is about when they talk about what day they observe or what day they don't, who abstains and who doesn't, all of that. And then it says, for none of us lives to himself, and none of us dies to himself. For if we live to the Lord, and if we die to the Lord. So then, whether we live or whether we die, we are the Lord's. For to this end Christ died and lived again, that he might be Lord both of the dead and of the living. Why do you pass judgment on your brother? Or why do you despise your brother? For we will all stand before the judgment seat of God. For it is written, as I live, says the Lord, every knee shall bow to me, and every tongue shall confess to God. So then, each of us will give an account of himself to God. Listen, we have to give our own accounts to God. We need to stop worrying, stop being the religious Rottweiler on the porch, barking at everybody because they don't wear the right clothes, or they don't use the right Bible, or they write in their Bible, they don't write in their Bible. They know churchy words, or they don't know churchy words. They, maybe they work in a place, maybe they work in a bar, or they work whatever their work is. And maybe the religious Rottweiler, well, you shouldn't be doing that job, or you shouldn't be doing that. Listen, new believers come to Christ and come as you are, but you don't stay as you are. You change through learning how to obey God, not each other, not satisfy each other, but God, right? And the process is learning to be in relationship with him and to do what he has called us to do. And each of us are responsible to God, right? So then each of us will give an account of himself, herself to God. Nobody else. Nobody else does it. So Matthew 7:3, this is Yeshua. This is Yeshua talking here. Judge not that you be not judged. For with the judgment you pronounce, you will be judged. And with the measure of you, use it and will be measured to you. Why do you see the speck that is in... here we go. Medicine time. If you get like me, you're on the edge of life and death all the time. The life-saving medicine, you create big alarms like that. It's wild. Sorry about that. Anyway, I had it silenced, but it's a super important alarm. There'll be another one coming in a second. Don't know how to shut it off. Anyway, why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that is in your own eye? Or how do you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when there's a log in your own eye? Now look, there it is. Another Hebrew idiom. I love Hebraic idiomatic expression. Love it, love it, love it. So it's saying, you're telling me, you're telling me all about the speck in my eye. Meanwhile, you got this big old log in your eye, right? That's an idiom. That's a Hebraic idiomatic expression. Love them. So what does it mean? Again, the words and teaching of Yeshua, but this time in Matthew 5:22. But I say to you that everyone who is angry with his brother will be liable to judgment. Whoever insults his brother will be liable to the council, and whoever says, you fool, will be liable to the hell of fire. So if you are offering your gift at the altar, and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go. First, be reconciled to your brother, and then come after and offer your gift. Come to terms quickly with your accuser while you are going with them to court, lest your accuser hand you over to the judge and the judge to the guard and you be put in prison. Here's the deal. Look, you heard all those yous. It's very poignant. That's you. Stop throwing rocks. Stop throwing rocks at other people. Be helpful, be kind, inform them. A new believer comes to church, they don't know stuff. They don't know, just little by little, lovingly help them. Oh, I'm not supposed to wear a mini skirt to church? Well, by the way, I don't wear mini skirts anytime because I don't look good. I have nice legs, but I don't shave them, so that doesn't look good. It's turn off to most. But some new believers, they don't know what to do. They don't know the traditions. They don't know the words. They don't know. They want to learn. They want to learn, and we have to be kind to them. We have to be welcoming to them, and we have to be kind to each other, right? Don't be a circular firing squad all the time. Anyway, 1 Corinthians, I'm almost finished. 1 Corinthians 11, 27 through 29, again in the ESV. Whoever therefore eats the bread and drinks the cup of the Lord in an unworthy manner will be guilty concerning the body and blood of the Lord. Now, this is about observing the Lord's Supper or communion. You may have heard of communion. Well, this is about that. And there was a lot of questions. Some people were gobbling up all the bread, drinking up all the wine. Yes, it was wine. It had alcohol in it. Still does to this day, but most churches, I get it. They do the Welch's or whatever brand of grape juice, not wine. So the bread, they would gobble up all the bread. They would gobble up all the wine and drink up all the wine. And, it was just a mess. And so that's what this is about. This is the context of it. This is what the author of 1 Corinthians 11, verses 27 through 29 is talking about. Whoever therefore eats the bread and drinks the cup of the Lord in an unworthy manner will be guilty concerning the body and the blood of the Lord. Let a person examine himself. Then so eat of the bread and drink of the cup. For anyone who eats and drinks without discerning the body eats and drinks judgment upon himself. Listen, I get it. When we're people of faith, we want to be, somehow or another, we want to do everything right. And maybe we have strong beliefs. And maybe, as I've talked about many times, we make our preference our theology or our doctrine. Maybe we push a little too hard for something because our preference is involved, our bias is involved. Well, look, man, you can't do it that way, right? Look after yourself. Be kind to each other. Be reasonable. Hey, one way you can be kind is hit that submit, hit the bell, share this to your millions of friends. I really appreciate it. No doubt about it.